Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Sky. I'm the founder and CEO of Create Your Own Reality Media. Super happy to have you guys here with me today. Today we're going to touch on a topic that I know I've mentioned before, but I just want to dive into it from a little bit of a different or deeper approach. Now, are you currently familiar with your values? If the answer is no, that's okay. If the answer is yes, that's also okay. Personal values are going to change, they're going to develop, and they're going to grow with us as people as we change along our journeys. Now, when it comes to personal values are also widespread over a variety of areas. When, somebody says personal values, they might just think, family, friends, things like that, which of course, those are definitely values that you can have, whether, spending more time with family, spending more time with friends, things along that nature. But it's also important to realize that you have values, again, in every area of your life. So whether it be your career, whether it be hobbies, whether it be, again, family, whether it be personal, whether it be friends or travel or adventure, there's so many areas where you can actually figure out what those values are for you. Or maybe traveling isn't even a value for you, or adventure isn't a value for you, So you really are able to figure out what those values are, but it's really important to be aware of all of the different types of values that are out there and available to you. So I think it's always really important to do a life audit at least once a year. And I know right now, being in October, being close to the end of the year, a lot of people tend to save that for January, setting those new goals, starting a new year, which I totally understand. But why not do it now? Why not get a head start on figuring out what your current values are, so that way you're able to go into the new year very strong? I think not only is that a great idea, but it also saves you the stress and pressure of adding another goal that you could actually just get out of the way right now. So I did actually create a personal value assessment workbook that you guys can use to help you identify those values, but not only identify them, really figure out why those are your values, how you can actually use those values in conflicts or situations in your life, how you can maybe create boundaries in certain situations due to those values that you have. Because I know myself, boundaries are something that I really, really struggle with. I tend to consider myself a pretty selfless person. So if I can do something for somebody else, whether it be a friend or a family member or anything like that, then I will tend to go out of my way to do so. Sometimes at the cost of, my own peace, my own happiness, my own sanity, my own availability. So I think that is another really important thing that you can identify within those values. So just really, again, figuring out what is important to you, how that applies in your everyday life. The workbook contains a lot of actionable steps and actionable activities that you can go through as you go through the workbook, not only once, but again, every year or every 6 months or however often you want to revisit those. And I think, again, that is the best part about just being able to grow and develop as a human being. Nothing is set in stone, right? We change as we grow, we change as we develop, or we change as we encounter new experiences or as we experience new things, right? I know I mentioned travel earlier. If you guys haven't traveled out of the country or traveled very often, travel is something that can really expand your mind. It expands your horizons, literally, right? So being able to experience new cultures and food and people, and it really gives you a new perspective that you didn't even have before. And I think that is one of my favorite things about being able to travel. And I can't wait until the day I get to travel out of the country again because it's been a while. But that being said, I think, again, it's just so important to really know what your values are and to be aware of them, right? Because it's one thing if you were to go through the workbook, if you were to go through those exercises, just identify them, write them down, and just stow it away, in your cabinet, in your drawer, in your filing folder, wherever you put your documents. But it's another thing to, actually go through it, identify what those values are, and really take them into consideration every single day. And I think that is really what you need to do and what is really important in terms of your own growth, but in terms of growing with or finding those right people around you as well. Because I know if you guys are familiar with the law of attraction, kind of states that you're going to attract things that are like you, right? And if you know, for example, that you're not in a place that you really want to be, you're not at that ultimate level of yourself just yet, which a lot of us aren't, and that's still okay. That's why we have that growth process, right? Then you're going to attract a lot of people in that same situation. So of course you're able to relate to those people. It's really fun, it's easy. You're able to identify, you're able to kind of move along that path with them. However, if you are somebody who has really big goals and wants to achieve more, it's easy to get stuck in a situation like that. So you also, again, want to identify what it is that you want and what it is that your ideal self wants, or what your ideal self is, who your ideal self is. So you want to have those values available and know what those are as well. So that way you can expand your horizons just within your daily life, within the interactions that you have with people, within the friends that you start to bring into your circle, just things like that. And I think that's really so important. Again, when it comes to growth, when it comes to leveling up, because although it may be difficult, sometimes you have to kind of break away from those really lifelong friends, from those friends that, you love spending time with, but maybe the goals don't align, or maybe, they don't have the same visions for themselves that you do for yourself. So while you don't have to, of course, completely cut ties with them, I think it's important to, again, set those boundaries. Just really identify, okay, I can hang out with these friends maybe a couple times a month instead of, maybe every single day or every week. I think it's really good to have a schedule set up, have a baseline set up, and again, just having those boundaries in place not only helps yourself, but by communicating those boundaries with other people, it lets them know, of course, not only what your values are, but what that relationship is between you guys, which I think is really important as well. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys today. So if you are interested in that personal value assessment workbook, I will leave the link down below in the description, so that way you guys can check it out and get that head start on your goals, on your development before 2026. And until next time, stay motivated, be inspired, and don't forget to encourage others.